you as we continue to build the infrastructure for Ada County. This last week, we got an email from Local Highway Technical Assistance Council. This is the T2 Center. They do, as you're aware, with our Road Scholar and Roadmaster program, they do ongoing trainings. Well, our team had a bridge. This is right next to the Eckert Road bridge. This is the canal right there. There was a treatment, it also is wood, but wasn't necessarily in the same condition as what we had with the Eckert Road Bridge. And there was a treatment that was proposed that they also wanted to include in a class and have a real life example. And so our team was able to set that up and let people be there on site when we were working in the canal and addressing that. We got this thank you from LTAC just for their appreciation for allowing that real life example, making the class all the more meaningful. And our team was able to be there, do some work, and include others so they could learn as well. We have an upcoming project this year over on Linder Road, north of between 44 and Floating Feather, as well as the intersection there. On that segment of road, there are two schools who are already experiencing some challenges, but with the State Highway 16 construction that's happening just a few blocks over. And so they reached out to us and expressed some concerns about, how this is all going to work with their ingress and egress. And as you can see, it gets pretty busy. They have about 800 students on one side of the road and 650 on the other side of the road. And it creates some unique challenges. So our team was out there, took seriously the feedback. Our team was out there this week, both in the morning and in the afternoon, to observe and to identify what we can, if there are things that we can do to address this prior to the construction even starting, and to then incorporate that into our construction phasing plans. Just wanted to thank the team for that effort to take seriously the concerns and to anticipate problems before they even start. Last weekend, there was an open streets event. This is a Boise Bicycle Project event where they take a road, they work with the Special Events Committee and close down a road and invite the neighborhood out onto that. Our Commuteride team is pretty engaged in this working with the community. And so we had one of our mini sweepers out there, we had some vans out there, and use it as a good opportunity to talk to people about options and opportunities there. So I just wanted to thank our Commuteride team for that, as well as our personnel who was out there assisting with cleanup and setup and taking care of that and showing off the amazing equipment we have. Our first week of outreach on the impact fee ordinance and the CIP, just wanted to report back to you. So notification went out to our 19,000, almost 20,000 recipients through the email. We had 54% open it, which again is really fantastic. You can see the links there. We've had 111 survey responses so far, and that's set to close on October 16th.
Ever notice curbs that extend out into the street at street corners? Those are called bulb outs or curb extensions. And that is the topic for today's What Is It Wednesday. Hi, my name is Elijah Davis, and I am a planning and programming intern here at ACHD. Bulb outs make streets safer by shortening the distance that pedestrians need to cross, especially at busy intersections. Bulb outs increase the visibility at intersections as well. They allow drivers and pedestrians to see each other, especially when there is parking near or at an intersection. They also help calm traffic by making the lane width appear narrower without actually narrowing the lane width. They naturally encourage cars to slow down, making streets and crossing safer for people who walk, bike, and roll. And they aren't just about safety. They can also help manage stormwater while providing extra space for landscaping and bike facilities, while enhancing the look and feel of the neighborhood. So next time you see a sidewalk extending into the street, know that it's smart, safe, and community friendly. And that's your What Is It Wednesday.
commissioners, we always like to share these with you as they come out. I was especially grateful to have one of our interns out there having that experience and helping educate on this topic. And we're grateful for for our communications team with the great videos that they do produce to help educate the public about all the tools and the resources that we have. So, mentioned to you during last week's meeting, a emergency closure of Capitol Boulevard. This is for a geothermal break that happened. So this is Boise City is working hard to try and address a leak that was coming. There was literally water pouring out of the road there. But and obviously that was a concern from a traffic perspective, and how do we manage this? Great. We have a fantastic team that anticipated that this would also cause a pretty significant issue with the BSU home game that was happening over the weekend. Last BSU home game, we had one car that stalled and it created like an hour-and-a-half backup on Capitol Boulevard. And so the team was looking at this and said, how do we address this when we have a complete closure at this point in time? They worked with the city of Boise. They worked with the police, and were able to get get a plan in place that allowed really ultimately our fastest egress we've had from a game, to where they were able to close down the TNC and go home sooner than they've ever been able to after a game. And so just kudos to the team for that, and thanks to the city of Boise who partnered with us in making sure that this worked out and didn't create a larger mess. I was here on Friday about 5:30 in the evening. We had another situation going on that we were addressing, and they were our communications team and our congestion management team were still meeting, working this out. So just grateful for the team who's committed to making sure that everything's in place, so we can anticipate problems. I just love this picture. I just think it's great, and I think it's a good kudos back to our team. I have been participating yesterday and today, and also tomorrow, in our annual vehicle inspection, where we go through and we talk to all of our operators. We visit every vehicle, make sure that it's in good working condition, that people have what they need. I will tell you, I'm only about halfway through, but at this point in time, everything looks fantastic. And that the kudos go back to our fleet team and our mechanics to make sure that people they have regular meetings, they have things in the budget up and coming to replace where we have needs for replacement. They're taking care of the problems as they exist. And so I thought the thumbs up was appropriate back to our fleet and mechanics, but also to the ACHD team who takes pride in those vehicles and make sure that they are well cared for. There were a lot of people who were apologizing because there was some dirt in the vehicles. And I said, are you kidding me? That's a work vehicle. That's exactly what we want it to look like. And so the team is really doing a great job, and just grateful for our fleet and our mechanics, as well as the team taking care of things.
I'm just calling to say thank you. Your crew came out yesterday and cleaned it all up. It looks great. If you could pass on my thanks to them and your manager, I'd really appreciate it. Because when I had called before, you said it'd be about 6 weeks before they get to it. And they did come out yesterday and take care of it, and it looks so much better. And I just wanted to call and say thank you to you all. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Commission, I just had to share with you, this was a voicemail that we got from a citizen. There were some weeds that were blocking some visibility and some other things in an area. And within a very short order, the team responded. And it's always great to hear directly from our citizens who take the time to say thank you, and thought I'd share that with you today. And kudos to the team for always being able to do even more. I met with our veg crew this week, and for a team of about 7 individuals, they're able to accomplish a lot. But it is an area where we're going to continue to have to work and make sure that they have the resources to be able to continue to do that. We had Ely had his first inaugural interview this week for Channel 6. This was regarding the Locust Grove concept. This is Locust Grove north of Fairview, so between Fairview and Ustick. This is an area that it's been a top priority for the city of Meridian for a while, but it's kind of a challenging area. This is one of those places where there has not been great preservation if they want a 5-lane road there. And so we're taking a look at different options and what ultimately the community wants to see, as well as what's going to work for the transportation system in that area. And so we have this concept. It's closing today from a public involvement perspective. Had about 650 people participate so far. So we're getting some good feedback on that, but just wanted to share what that story is all about. So commissioners, just a few things in terms of what's coming up over the next month. Justin is continuing his outreach tour. We've had two meetings so far. We have all 5 other jurisdictions, so the 4 other cities in the county, all scheduled to meet with them and to go over the CIP and give them information so that they can provide you feedback. Those meetings continue to go well, and Justin's been able to answer their questions. Whether or not they choose to respond, it's been kind of mixed whether or not they want to fully provide feedback on this, but we're definitely making sure that they have all the information so that they can. For those who are interested, we do have our employee appreciation breakfast. That's next week on the 7th. We start bright and early and start serving the crews, and they start showing up as early as about 6:30. So we try and get here early and get the food cooked for everybody, and you're welcome to come join us. And then as we come toward the closer to Halloween, our crews will definitely be out and present at a number of community events with making sure that people have the opportunity to interact with ACHD and have that positive experience there. With that, Commission, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Director. Thanks for the report. I just want to say I get lots of really great feedback about the What Is It Wednesday from people. I think we really set the standard in kind of getting that information out to folks, and I thought that bulb outs was a really great thing to highlight this time.
Thank you.
So thanks for the report. Okay, with that, we'll be at ease until noon. All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's now 12 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thanks for joining us in person and online. I'll also mention we've got Commissioner Nielsen online as well, and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. I don't believe we have any requests to move any consent agenda items. Do we have a motion?
Madam President,
Commissioner McKinney.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any regular agenda items today, so we will go to discussion items. Public communications. Is there anybody in person or online who wish to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, meeting is adjourned. Next up is the post-commission agenda. We've got 3 work sessions. First up is the ACHD Connect update presentation by staff, and we've got Emma Bowers and Allison Ornelas.
Good morning or good afternoon, I should say. I think the last time I addressed you, I was also on crutches, so I decided to make sure you recognize me. Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Emma Bowers, Digital Media Coordinator with the Communications team. I'm grateful to be here today to discuss ACHD Connect, which did launch this March. This tool is also known as Civic Plus's C-Click Fix, which replaced our customer management tool, TELUS. And I'm here today to give a brief update. First, I just wanted to do a quick recap on to how we got here. Our C-Click Fix journey started in 2024 with demos and, and then starting to discuss categories and team workflows so we could begin building out the platform. Once the tool was set up, we began training employees in November of 2024. We held several training sessions and met with some employees and teams one-on-one. Our soft launch was on March 17th of this year to a select group of residents who are involved in our community and who were utilizing our old TELUS system. After a successful soft launch, we then launched to the rest of the public in April. Since then, we have been busy with tickets and requests. ACHD Connect requests, I did add them up from March to September of this year, and we are at 2,600. And I wanted to compare those to the numbers we saw from TELUS. In the same span, it was 3,200. So this 600 ticket difference is partly due to the C-Click Fix system routing the citizen to the correct agency, such as ITD, city code enforcement, or city streetlights, just to name a few. This automation is mostly due to our amazing GIS team and the layers that were put in early in the process. We have also been utilizing the duplicate feature of C-Click Fix if that ticket has been submitted more than once by the same person, which does happen on occasion. We are also saving tickets by having the ability to go back and forth with a resident to ask clarifying questions instead of them having to reopen a whole new ticket. Our team is also always trying to give proactive information through social media, through the media, and our improved website, which we did launch a couple of years ago. And so we hope that those have also contributed to the less ticket number. In addition, we are logging tickets for residents. So over 500 of those have been logged by staff for residents, and we haven't done that in the past. So we've added that to the total number. So if you add all of that up, it's actually almost 1,000 tickets less than this same time last year. And we are also doing more proactive maintenance, and we have improved equipment. So here are our top 5 issues that have been put in through ACHD Connect, a couple which will not surprise you, including potholes. So I wanted to just take that one and compare it to the data from last year. So we have almost 200 that were reported through September. And last year in the telesystem, we had close to 600. So we had about a 400 ticket difference, partly again due to the mapping capabilities that we have, and also in part to maintenance's proactive efforts. So I just wanted to have a couple of shout outs here. We have 176 staff members assisting and answering tickets throughout the day. And that doesn't include those who are actually working on the outcomes of those, like maintenance. So Stacy Kendra and Elise Hedges, they are in control of the majority of the maintenance tickets. Plus we have Josh Sack, Ryan Fisher, and John Wasson. I'm sure you've seen some of their names on the tickets that you have seen. And a special shout out to Denise Haas for assisting on plenty of tickets that aren't necessarily assigned to her. These 6 people are responsible for more than half of the amount of tickets over the last few months. The reports that we have been talking about come from just over 1,100 resident profiles. We also have the ability for residents to submit anonymously if they are more comfortable with that. And it's been interesting to see how residents are utilizing the portal, whether that's on the web, which 1,800 of those have come in through our website. And then we also have about 300 that are using the app. As I mentioned before, we've had about 500 requests that are input by staff, and those are coming in through email, through our social media channels, and by calling in. And those are the top 3 ways that residents are getting to us, and then we'll input the ticket so that they can track the ticket themselves. The service level agreements we implemented range from 14 days to 1 day to close or acknowledge a ticket. When we set up the system, we met with each team to determine what their workflow was and how their service level agreement should be met. Of course, there are outliers, but the majority of tickets are closed about 2 days after they're open. And the service level agreements are still in flux. We're still learning what works and what doesn't. But based on these implemented SLAs, 74% of the tickets are closed with 74% are closed within the SLA, and we're making adjustments. It doesn't mean necessarily that something is solved. It just means that we have responded the best we can, and they're always welcome to ask for an update if they would like. So how are we getting the word out about this great tool? We've released social media posts. We had a great video put out and a press release, and we still have more to do. But we're also talking about it regularly with our residents, whether that's through email, social media, and in person with our tours. If they have questions, we always plug the best way to get a hold of us. Future marketing includes training videos for internal staff and for our residents, including QR codes and taps in high traffic areas. And we are also in the process of developing a drip campaign. So when somebody signs up for our emails, they will also be subscribed to get information on ACHD Connect and how to use it for them. Civic Plus, again, is the company that we went through. They host the Community Impact Awards. This award highlights teams that are driving meaningful change in their communities through dedication, innovation, and public service, working every day to enhance quality of life, build trust, and create lasting impact. And it did not need to be a Civic Plus solution in order to make that impact. We placed in the top 10 for the 2025 awards with over 65 nominations. And we've also seen some kudos from our residents, which is always great to see. And they are talking about how they're using the system and putting it out there and getting the word out for more residents to use it. And I think that it's a really powerful tool, is our residents informing other residents and not just coming from us. So where are we going? We're still learning what the system can do and how it can connect to other systems like asset management and work orders. We're also still improving the reports that we can run for leadership, and that includes you. We have also set up quite a few automations, but we're always learning more about that and how we can route it to our subject matter experts more quickly. And we're continuing to meet with teams to refine their process and ours, and making sure that the tool is working for our internal staff. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thanks, Emma. Are there any questions? Commissioner Pickering?
Emma, I've been wanting this update for what feels like eons, and I'm just so impressed with you and the team. It's not easy rolling out new technology, especially when it connects to so many different facets of our organization. I think probably what you alluded to was some of the other reports and elements of the platform that you're still trying to explore. One of the things that we've heard from residents in other cities is that near miss component, right? And like, how does that connect maybe with law enforcement?
Sure.
What's kind of your thought so far? Is that still exploratory, or is that not a good fit now that you've had some time with this platform? What are your thoughts?
We do have a near miss report that
Okay.
people can submit. I haven't given those, or maybe we haven't received very many.
Okay.
But we also haven't had that request open for a while because we were still adding some. So I will continue to explore those and how we can best get with law enforcement on those.
Yeah, that might be, I'd be happy to bring one of you to our next fatal crash review task force meeting and talk a little bit about that. Matt Deegan's on that with me.
That would be great.
Specifically as it relates to Boise. Obviously, it doesn't include the rest of the other cities in Ada County, but that would be helpful to know. And then how we can make that handoff happen with them too.
Sure.
But I just wanted to say thank you for like the analytics that you shared are really helpful. I really appreciated you sharing like the efficiencies, because that was the last platform was so cumbersome. And so it's just really easy to use. It's really bright. I love being able to just drop a pin versus that was not a feature last time either. So anyway, just highly commend you all for your great work, and also just seeing how the team has been responding to folks. It seems like it's just a lot more user-friendly on their end as well, because we're getting, I think just the responses are just a little bit more, I can think because our team, it seems like they have a better understanding of the actual issue. There's not as much back and forth. That's my impression. Would you agree?
Yes, Madam President, Commissioner, it's really cool to see the back and forth between our staff and residents, and even between our staff and other staff members, that, seeing somebody in planning say to maintenance, like, oh,
Yep.
we have this really cool thing starting, and just seeing that collaboration is really great. And on the location issue, we are still learning how to make the heat maps, which I think will be
That would be great.
more valuable. We were just on a call with them this week. So we're still learning more and trying to make it more visual as well.
That'd be great. Especially, I mean, all of those top 5 issues, the potholes, all of those things would be really helpful to understand where, one, folks are noticing them, but also seeing, well, who isn't reporting it, but we know there is an issue, to see if, we can
Correct.
expand the use of the Connect in some of those other parts of the county.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Pickering, to just kind of go off of your comment about the near miss feature, since that is a new feature in this tool, have we done any specific outreach, highlighting that as a new feature and letting folks know that that is something that they can report through this new tool? Or do we
Madam-
have a plan to as part of our ongoing outreach?
Yes, Madam President. Not just that issue, but we have put on our website, for instance, for potholes. It's on the potholes page, that specific issue. They don't have to choose it. And so we're trying to find places in the website where they can more easily put in information without the additional steps on if they're searching for how to log in your mess. I haven't put those out on social because we're still trying to find the best way to do that. And it kind of goes hand in hand with which requests are private versus public. Because if everything is public, it's just one big drop pin and the information is hard. But that is still something we're exploring where to put that.
Commissioner McKinney?
Yeah, Emma, this is great. I'm always in favor of things that help us do what we do more efficiently. One question I had though, as we were looking at this, to see the difference in the number of tickets and the number of things, and I'm looking at that and asking myself, how do we know that this is representing an improvement in our efficiency and not some other kind of change? For example, the 600 potholes versus 197, that's a significant change in numbers. How do we know that we're not just getting, and I know, I'm not saying you're not, I'm just curious how it is that we know that it's not just fewer potholes or fewer being reported as opposed to a more efficient way of gathering all the information. What's our method for kind of parsing those things out?
Yes, Madam President, Commissioner. I don't have a very good answer for that yet. I think it is a lot to do with what our maintenance team is doing by filling in more potholes in that area where they already are. But also, I think that the ones that are not coming in for ITD is also a very big number. When we did pothole days in the past, it was definitely a topic for our maintenance team and for us on how we can best show people where an ITD road is versus an ACHD road. I know in social media when we were doing that week, I would probably answer 50 to 70 posts that, I'm sorry, we don't do that road, but here's the comment box for ITD. But I think that Shandy might have another thing to say about that.
Madam President, Commissioner McKinney, it's a great question, and there's no concrete way for us to determine exactly what's contributing, and that's why we included so many contributing factors. One of those negatively has to be the fact that it's a new system and not everyone knows yet, which is part of that ongoing communication, right? So that's probably the more negative side of it. All of the factors that she listed are the positive, and I think what is concrete is we had so few pothole reports, but that didn't mean we had so few potholes filled. I believe, if I'm accurate, we are hitting record numbers of potholes being filled. So to show that we are getting less reports from the public, I think a lot of that, Emma is correct, is that a lot of time was spent just responding to people telling them it wasn't our road. So we're getting less reports, but doing more potholes than we've ever done before. It really speaks to the proactive maintenance that's happening in our maintenance department, our operations department. So I think that is really the most concrete example that we can point to show that that's not necessarily the tool that's doing that, other than filtering out all those ITD requests. But that speaks to how well they're doing. And the tool is just showing that for us. It's giving us those stats to be able to show, hey, the maintenance team is really rocking it out there with their proactive approach for potholes. And we're not seeing as many reports, but we're seeing a huge increase in productivity with them.
Okay, so it is possible that some of the changes are a result of people getting accustomed to the new system, and others are from other locations.
Yep.
Going forward, well, I guess going forward, the reality is if the system works, of course, we keep working with it, and hopefully, well, I'll look forward to the next report, see how things are going. Thank you.
Commissioner Nielsen?
Yeah, thanks. I just want to add my congratulations on a great tool. I've seen a lot of public satisfaction with the tool. But the question I have, and I don't need an answer right away, but I do like the weekly reports. And I wonder if we could get a quarterly. I've had a case where I get the report before an answer was generated. You know what I mean? And then the next week, I don't know what the answer was. And then maybe a quarterly report based on the kind of the weekly comments in my district. I think quarterly or maybe semi-annual might be good. Is that possible to generate something like that?
Yes, Madam President, Commissioner, we were talking about what a quarterly report would look like with more stats, graphs, more of the bigger numbers. We did try to adjust the weekly reports to have a little bit of overlap, but we can always play around with the dates in order to get you that information. If there's ever a specific request that you're looking at that you would really like to know, we're also happy to look on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, you did for me once, and it was perfect. So, but there's some of the answers that are kind of beyond maintenance, where there needs to be an engineering study, things that will take a little more time for the district to respond to. I just want to make sure I'm kind of tracking those that that I can keep, maybe, like I said, even semi-annually or annually progress on some of those longer term issues. So, but thank you. That's great.
Do you have anything? No? Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, thank you, Emma. I really appreciate all the team's work that's gone into this, all the ongoing outreach and efforts to improve user experience, and your work to continue to refine the reports to the commission, and just, really appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the work session on Amity Road and Locust Grove Road status update. Diane?
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. Diane Bevins, Deputy Director of Projects. Here to give you an update on this project, Amity and Locust Grove Road. So this is just some visuals of the existing conditions, just to remind everyone of what's there today. It's a four-way stop controlled intersection with a flashing beacon because of the grade difference going west to east on Amity Road. And there are no pedestrian or bicycle facilities there today. So where we left it, it was a couple of years ago now. It was early 2023 when we had a concept design. We went out for public involvement, and then we started hearing some concerns from about property impacts, concerns from the commission, concerns from the city of Meridian. So we decided to strategically pause in the fall of 2023. So it's been a couple of years. So what has changed in those couple of years? The intersections directly to the 1 mile north and 1 mile south of this intersection have been completed as roundabouts. City of Meridian sent in a letter and requested that Locust Grove be changed to 100-foot right-of-way preservation, which would be for 5 lanes. And at the time of our initial design, Locust Grove was being preserved for 3 lanes. So that has changed. And also, for just to highlight, this year, this project is priority number 6 for City of Meridian, which moved up from number 28 in 2024. So our next steps that we currently have design programmed in 2027. So we would finish the design of the roundabout, the design, and then we don't have right-of-way budgeted, but in our next iteration of the budget or 5-year plan, we would be looking at budgeting that or programming the right-of-way. The design will include that 100-foot of right-of-way for Locust Grove, but our plan is to build 3 lanes that matches the intersections that were built to the north and to the south of that. And we will continue to design around the cell tower that's in that northeast corner to not impact the cell tower. And by finalizing the design and purchasing right away, it sets us up for a possible developer cooperative project or for ACHD to construct it as it rises in priority for the city of Meridian. And I will stand for questions.
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Pertaining to the letter we received from the city of Meridian a while back, they asked for a temporary signal. And so far, we haven't done anything about it, and they've asked a couple of times. I know we have to purchase a small amount of right-of-way to put in the signals, but we purchase right-of-way on more than one occasion for other projects as well. Are there any reasons why we haven't gone ahead and with this temporary solution in the meantime?
Do you have a little visual for that, Commissioner Goldthorpe? Excuse me, President Gold and Commissioner Goldthorpe. We have looked at that. It does require a right-of-way acquisition from 3 of those properties in the corner and does require, which is kind of highlighted in orange there, some irrigation relocation. And we started this project quite a few years ago. I'm not even sure, like 4 or 5 years ago, as an interim signal. And because of these impacts, we thought it would be best to move forward with the ultimate design. So that's kind of how we got to where we are today. The interim signal would not include any pedestrian or bicycle upgrades. And we prefer, even though we do prefer not to have to go back to the same property owner, especially in a short amount of time. And as a priority number 6 for the Meridian, this will move up, through the process as their other priorities get built.
Well, I know they were pretty adamant that they wanted a temporary solution. Have we gone to them and told them they're not going to get it?
President Gold, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I think I don't have, okay. Director Head might have more information there. We have communicated that through the 5-year plan process.
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, thank you. I have had regular conversations with Mayor Simison on this location, and completing the design has been his focus in our conversations. He's really interested in this idea of a developer cooperative and exploring that. He feels like there may be a path forward on that. And so his focus has been, in our conversations, has been completing that design so that we can continue to explore that. I haven't had continued in those dialogues. He hasn't been asking for an interim signal. I know there was that letter that came out back when we were looking at that originally, but that has not been the ongoing conversations with the mayor.
I know that wasn't all that long ago, just a couple of years ago when the mayor asked and city council. And the neighborhood's been very well aware of that. And I'm pretty sure now them knowing that it's not going to happen probably isn't going to result in a lot of positive feedback either. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Madam President?
Commissioner Pickering.
Yeah, thanks, Diane, for this update. And can you also confirm, because I obviously haven't had as much conversations recently with the mayor or the city of Meridian, but their preference was of not having a roundabout. Is that correct? Or have they come around to this design?
President Gold, Commissioner Pickering, to my knowledge, I think they're okay with
They're okay with this.
Design,
Okay.
yes, with Locust Grove being a roundabout corridor.
Got it. Because I think there was some confusion and different ideas a few years back too about that. So, okay. So
And
there's
I'll just-
consensus.
I'll just echo what the director said in my conversations with the mayor and other folks at the city, that the emphasis is really on us choosing and moving forward on a design so
Yeah.
that can be communicated through, as developments move forward and things like that out in the area. So I think that
Everyone can move on.
yeah.
That's fair.
One last thing.
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
One of the other things that we expressed to the neighborhood was that there would be an opportunity for them to come together and talk to our staff. That hasn't happened either. Are we going to abandon that?
No, President Gold, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I think when we kick off the design again in 2027, it would be a really great opportunity before we start down that path again to have that.
I wish they would have the opportunity sooner than later, because we
Okay.
apparently have made that decision already. And I do know there are certain members of the Meridian City Council that absolutely hate the idea of a roundabout there. And it wouldn't surprise me if the mayor was one of those. So I'm not personally not that sure that we know what everybody wants right now.
And President Gold, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I will talk to the project manager and we'd be happy to reach out to the neighbors and meet with them sooner.
That'd be much appreciated.
Yeah.
Mr. McKinney?
Yeah, thank you. Diane, just a quick question. I want to make sure that I heard correctly. You discussed the 3-lane versus 5-lane section issue. Could you kind of recap that? I just want to be sure that I heard correctly on
Yes,
that.
President Gold, Commissioner McKinney, because the master street map was changed to 100 feet of right-of-way preservation, we will purchase that 100 feet width, which can accommodate 5 lanes with our project. But our plan, when it gets built, is just to build the 3 lanes, which matches the Victory Road to the north and Lake Hazel to the south, which also only built 1 lane in each direction with those recent projects.
Okay. Are those roundabouts built? Because we've built some roundabouts I know that were designed so that they could be expanded from a 1-lane roundabout to a 2-lane roundabout. Is that the way these others are constructed, and is that the way this one will be?
Yes, now that has changed for Locust Grove, yes, we will look at it.
Okay.
We only got to about 30% design, so we will make sure as the design moves forward that it can be expanded.
Okay. From the traffic perspective, what is our current level of service at this intersection? Do we know? Do we have some basic traffic information that you can tell me?
I think that if I had to guess, it would be failing. It would be an E or an F at this point. It has been over capacity for some time.
Okay, right. That's what I thought too. And I think obviously, moving this forward, as quickly as we can would be in everyone's interest. But thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Diane.
Staying for the next one.
Okay, next up is our third work session, which is pavement management strategy update, also with Diane.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon again. President Gold, Commissioners. For the record, Diane Bevins, Deputy Director of Projects. So I'm excited to be here again to wrap up our series of conversations on our pavement management strategy. So the team has been working for almost a year now, taking a deep dive into preservation and rehabilitation, which is the focus of my presentation today. Through this process, we learned that ASHD was doing a lot of the right things, but taking a look at this holistically with fresh eyes has really brought it all together into a cohesive strategy. So first off, I want to make sure I acknowledge the team again. It was between planning and operations and maintenance, and it's been a great team to work with on this. And I won't spend too much time on the next 3 slides because you've seen these before, my last presentation on preservation. But just to recap our goals, and then like I said, today's presentation will be on that 4th bullet on rehabilitation. I do want to give a big thanks to Rick, who's still here. Yes, we have a conference to go to later on pavement preservation. So he did the heavy lifting on the rehab portion of this strategy. While we work very hard to preserve our pavement for as long as possible, there comes a time in the pavement's life that requires rehabilitation. So here's a snapshot again of our pavement condition. I will say, since I was here last, we've added 10 lane miles for a new total of 5,317. I will remind the commission that while there is a decline from 2016 to today, it's not unexpected and is not an indicator that our pavement is failing. But the PCI naturally cycles, and as we preserve and rehabilitate appropriately, it cycles back up. and the infamous chart here. So this shows a particular segment, not our entire system. So every segment would look a little bit different if we graphed it just based on the quality of material, application, the soils, the amount and type of traffic, etc. So we want to utilize preservation treatments because they are the most cost-effective thing that we can do and a great investment of taxpayer dollars. But once a road condition declines past a certain point, it does require rehabilitation. And that does get more expensive as you go down that line and have to bring a pavement back up to good condition. I am going to frame this presentation around right place, right treatment, right time again, like I did with preservation. So starting with the right place, our rehabilitation strategy and program is countywide. And we have a process for selecting roads, and with the main thing being our decision tree that was created throughout this for this strategy. The decision tree is broken out by road classification and pavement condition, PCI. It includes roadways, cul-de-sacs, roundabouts, and alleys, and I will talk more about that later, but roundabouts and alleys are a new addition to our pavement management strategy. And so once we've used our decision tree to have segments, then we also look at upcoming projects, maintenance areas, efficiency, capacity to filter that list. So right treatment, these three are what ACHD uses. It's pretty much industry standard as well. Technology doesn't move as fast on the rehab side. It's more about techniques, and so maybe there'll be new techniques available in the future. But for now, this is what we're looking at. So the right time. So we do have an annual program, our federal aid program. We try to list those in our 5-year plan, our budget, and the tip with the segment names, but sometimes you see them as roadway and ADA projects. Then our arterial collector capital maintenance, residential capital maintenance, cul-de-sac repair, and rapid pavement repair and cooperative projects. And those, again, are annual. Where roundabout rehabilitation is new, and right now we have that programmed every 2 years. And alleys will be added as well. They're not currently in the 5-year plan or budget, but once we get those start programming, it would not be an annual program either. I do want to point out that from arterial collector down, those are the names in the budget and in the 5-year work plan. I want to point that out because sometimes they can fly under the radar because they don't have a roadway name. But this is how we fund and how we accomplish our rehabilitation of our roads. Yeah, so the right time for a particular segment is not as black and white, I would say, as preservation. So, our team does a great job, Rick and Susan, monitoring. We have a software program. So they're constantly monitoring the PCI and age of segments. We get feedback from the public. We get feedback from our maintenance crews, and they take all that information in and just do the best job they can is, and to select segments for these particular roads. But it, like I said, is, for example, our federal aid program, we have to pick segments 5 years in advance. So you also have to, there's some taking into account 5 more years of deterioration on a road and stuff like that. But I think they do a great job. So in summary, we will, I would say, continue to implement our new strategy because we did start implementing it this year with our chip seal program. We're going to do an ongoing review of the strategy. Rick and Heather will be the leads on that going forward, and then they will recommend refinements. This is not a strategy that we just want to say, okay, we're done and put it on the shelf. This is a continuous process improvement type of strategy. So we're always going to be looking at improving that. And I mentioned this last time, but I think it's important. Strategic segment selection is the key and the difference in our new strategy. I think it's very important to be able to explain to the public why this segment and not this one. We pride ourselves on being transparent and providing as much information as possible. And I think we're going to be able to do that with this strategy. Our overall strategy and funding are what really impact our payment condition. And as our network grows and our payment ages, funding will need to increase. So I just want to thank the Commission for your interest in this topic and your continued support in keeping our pavement in good condition. So this is the conclusion of the process. I think I'm supposed to make a joke now about something about when the rubber meets the road, but I couldn't come up with one. So I will stand for questions.
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Yes, I'm probably the only one other than staff members who was here in 2016 when the PCI, when this presentation was made in 2016. And we were almost literally dancing in the aisles and doing back handsprings at the fact that our PCI was 84. We're number one. We're number one in the Northwest and in the very, very top tier in the United States as far as our pavement condition. I know what happened with COVID, and I know what's happened for 2 years with regards to weather and air quality, with regards to our chip sealing. And you just mentioned that this cycles. When should we expect to be back up to 84?
President Gold, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I did not bring my crystal ball today. So I don't know that I can answer that, but as we invest and make more improvements, like, yes, we hope that trend that we're bottoming out. It's still, our pavement condition is still in good category. And I have to say, still probably best in the Northwest, even with this cycle down from 84 to 77, because it's still in the good category.
I just remember the conversations that we had, which were primarily designed to convince the commission at the time to keep our PCI as high as we did. That the higher the pavement condition index was, the less we were going to have to spend on long-term deferred maintenance. That it costs less to maintain a great road than it did a poor road. And I believe that fully. I bought that one hook, line, and sinker, and that's why I'm concerned.
President Gold, Commissioner Gold, I think it's still the case. We still have segments out there that are in the 40s and 50s, and we're trying to target those and get those back into new pavement, which gets it back to 100. And I don't know, I'm going to look at Rick and say if he wants to add anything. Yes.
Rick Petroselli, pavement management engineer. Yeah, it's just like us. We age. We don't go back to zero. I mean, we don't go back to 100. We get to 100 as pavement ages, and we preserve it. We still don't get the reset back to the 100. What that shark fin shows is that we are preserving it. It is really reasonable and cost effective to preserve it, but eventually they're going to fall into the repaving area. Our network is huge. It's aging. Each road is aging differently. And so if what the cycle up means is that as soon as we get all of the ones that are down here on the curve repaved, then those will go back to 100 and the average will come back in to the network number. So I don't want to say it's Mickey Mouse science, but it's a calculation that's huge. When the network our size, we could chip seal an entire zone, 500 lane miles, 600 lane miles, and it may not change the PCI because the other zones are aging quickly. Those roads are aging quickly. So that's kind of, and what the plan is with Heather and I working forward in the coming years is we can start showing you what happens in each one of these zones when we do apply a slurry or a chip seal. That PCI may go up from a 79 to an 85. And then we can celebrate because that group of roads did that. Those are some of the new reporting that we'll be able to do moving forward.
One last comment, and this is again, my memory serving me fairly well. Past commissions, not this one, because we haven't had this conversation, but past commissions were always most interested in maintaining our current assets more than we were spending a lot of money to increase our network, to preserve the network rather than increase the network. And our former director used to show us the graphs where they intersected and where we were going to reach a problem with maintenance if we didn't spend more money. And we always decided before that we were going to not see that happen, that we were going to spend whatever was necessary to preserve our network and being a first priority. So perhaps it should be a question asked, is that still the case?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, yes, it is still the case. In our draft 5-year plan, there the funding for roadway maintenance is at that level where we projected it would need to be, and we continue to do that. So yes, that is still our focus. It is the top priority we've given to the team to make sure we are maintaining our roads and bridges before we look at other things.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Commissioner Pickering?
Yeah, to echo Commissioner Goldthorpe's point, like that's something that I hear constantly, right? Folks really want us to prioritize the assets that we have. And I just think this report and the work that you, Diane, and Rick and others are doing is one of those core essential functions of the district, and it takes priority, right? And so I think if there is, as we continue to grow and expand the network and budget wins shift, I think it's going to be really important that you guys feel comfortable coming back to us, right? When there needs to be a shift from the budget side or a project side where we can understand earlier on, okay, we're approaching that cliff. This is when we need to pivot so that we can course correct, so that we're not going to be in trouble with the degradation of our network and potentially not be able to maintain it and claw it back for, another generation or so. So I think, thank you. And please feel welcome to come back to us.
Thank you for saying that.
Appreciate that.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Diane. Do you talked about strategic segment selection and talked about how we kind of started implementing this whole strategy with chip seal this year. Did you did you start developing any outreach efforts as part of that, or is that going to be part of the overall ongoing effort, is to look at how we communicate, how we're choosing those, and yeah.
Yeah, President Gold, yes, we've been working with communications throughout this process as well on how to communicate that, and we will continue that as we move forward as well. Okay. I think the success of chip seal it's mostly the crews and the guys and the gals out in the field 100%, but I think our strategy on selection and setting them up for success and the communication that was done was part of the success this year.
And then just want to be sure that maybe we can get an annual update of how this implementation strategy is going. So next year would be great.
Yeah, President Gold, we will always come and do, pre-chip seal, so we can work it into that presentation or have a separate one as well. So
okay, great. All right. I think that's all for us this week. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.